Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And welcome to Sofa Reviews. Today I'm not watching Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li.
Well, it looks like it's my time to shine.
Released in 2009, it's a film focused on the first female playable character in fighting games of the same name.
We open to a touching family scene where it's revealed that Chun-Li's dad is a businessman who travels a lot.
This is interrupted, however, on one evening when her father is attacked by Balrog, played by Michael Clarke Duncan.
Her father fares poorly against Balrog, however whenever some nameless goons turn up, he kicks their toys in.
After a pretty decent fight, we're introduced to Bison.
I love what you've done to your new place.
The Irish businessman.
Surely you mean Welsh?
No, he's meant to be Irish here. Bison kidnaps Chun-Li's father but leaves her unharmed, and so we cut to several years later.
We see her tinkling the ivories at a recital.
In the games, Chun-Li became an Interpol agent in order to track down Bison and her father. But apparently here, the piano was more important.
Backstage, Little Miss Plot Convenience hands Chun-Li a mysterious scroll.
Later on, Chun-Li attends a man who has been attacked by a gang.
And we are introduced to the web tattoo.
We also catch up with Bison, who's having tea with his friends.
He makes them an offer they can't possibly accept, and then has them all killed.
Right, so rather than being a megalomaniacal dictator bent on world domination with his own personal army, he's now just a crime lord.
Next, we encounter the law.
First we're introduced to Maya, who in the game is a CIA agent working undercover for Shadowloo, but here she's got Chun-Li's job.
She is there to see the heads of the men that Bison had killed the previous night, but then she is interrupted by Nash.
In the games, Nash, also known as Charlie, is a lieutenant in the US Air Force, as well as the mentor who trained Guile. So, of course, here, he's working for Interpol.
Wait, so does that mean that both of them combined are Chun-Li?
Nash tells Maya that the killing of all the crime lords is due to Bison, who we see chatting with Chun-Li's father.
It turns out that Bison has kept him alive for information in exchange for the safety of his daughter.
Later on, Chun-Li has finally decided to investigate the mysterious scroll.
She takes it to a woman who is able to instantly translate it for her.
We're then treated to some woefully awful acting from Chris Klein as he discusses Bison.
I've tracked him through 11 major cities on 4 continents and never come close, not once. This guy walks through the raindrops.
On the plus side, there is boobs.
Chun-Li leaves her home to move to Thailand so she can find Gen.
Apparently she needs to feel the pulse of the streets, but it just feels like she's gone on a destitute gap year.
This section of the movie just feels like a very poor imitation of the Batman Begins origin story. And it doesn't need to be done, as Chun-Li already has a perfectly fine origin story in the game.
Chun-Li witnesses an assault and intervenes, giving us her first fight scene.
This fight does demonstrate that they have some good people working in the stunt department, as they're actually pretty cool in the fight. However, Chun-Li just ends up using wire work.
Although she manages to beat them all, it's a close run thing, and it does emphasise the point that she's not a martial arts master just yet.
After collapsing in the alley, she gets carried away and gets to meet Gen, played by Robin Chun.
He starts training Chun-Li, easily outclassing her.
And suddenly, Hadouken.
Oh, so it's actually Ryu then? After more training, Chun-Li goes to the internet cafe where she checks up on the Wikipedia page for organised crime.
We're then introduced to Cantana, a woman who works with Bison and is using blackmail to get papers signed by government officials.
Nash instantly works out that Bison is buying up all the land because we see people being evicted.
This of course means we have to sit through more tedious banter between Nash and Maya, as they're supposed to be on a stakeout.
Of course, Nash quickly gets bored and decides to experiment with some sexual assault.
Because of this, they fail to notice Balrog switching cars.
We then switch to a top secret meeting between Balrog and the Secretary of Commerce.
It's on the shipping manifest. The package is called the White Rose.
So top secret that you're going to say it out loud on a crowded escalator in a mall. But you know, he is a boxer.
We then go back to training with Chun-Li, while Liu Kang throws his balls at her.
That evening, Chun-Li shows up in a club, and although she has her hair up in bunches, she still doesn't look right as Chun-Li.
It transpires that Lady Cantana is a lesbian. So Chun-Li sets about seducing her.
Although Chun-Li's dance is as lifeless as her face in this scene.
Chun-Li leads her into the toilets for another decent fight scene.
Although it's annoying to see Chun-Li is using torture and brutality to get her information.
Chun-Li gets the information that she wanted and then runs off chased by goons.
They surround her and we're treated to a laughably awful spinning bird kick.
Oh, for God's sake, I can get my legs wider than that and I've got a penis.
Nash shows up just in time to see Chun-Li escape as he continues to look inept.
And now we get the opportunity to see how much of a complete bastard Bison actually is.
But she'd said enough. The damage was done.
And so, 50 minutes into the movie, Gen finally gives us Bison's backstory.
It's explained that Bison sacrifices his young wife and transfers his conscience into his child so he can be truly evil.
After this, Chun-Li goes shopping while Gen is attacked by a SWAT team.
This fight is quickly interrupted by Balrog firing an RPG into his house and destroying it.
Distressed by this and with nowhere to stay, Chun-Li goes wandering the streets before noticing she's being followed by Vega.
Vega, an actual Street Fighter villain. Oh, this is gonna be fantastic!
The fight is wasted and barely a minute long. This film does a horrible job with Vega.
After Chun-Li beats up some innocent guy at a desk, she finds out about Bison's shipment.
Meanwhile, Nash finds Maya clearing out her offices.
Orders from up high. We're off the case.
Chun-Li goes down the docks, but is quickly captured by Bison.
She is taken away and finally reunited with her father before Bison comes out with what's possibly the dumbest line in the entire film.
But even milk has an expiration date.
After killing her father, Bison and Balrog leave her with goons and simply assume that everything will go fine.
She of course escapes and is chased down to a market before Balrog attempts to shoot at her, nearly hitting a young boy.
This causes a random woman to throw the pineapple of justice at Balrog, and of course, their goons are outclassed by fruit.
Chun-Li discovers that Gen is still alive and is once again carried away to safety.
He heals Chun-Li with a hot bath and some magic.
Later, and joy of joy, she goes to visit Nash.
Not only does he pour himself short measure, but he can't actually hold on to the whiskey glass, and he manages to waste the rest of it.
She persuades Nash to help and Maya turns up as well.
But what about the orders?
What orders?
Orders, Nash.
Bison arrives, but Balrog explains that he's got it covered as Nash discovers the bomb.
That's lucky everybody got it in time.
Unit 3 is halted. Got it.
Oh.
After a firefight that we really wanted to see in this film about hand-to-hand combat, we get to see Balrog fight Gen.
Liu Kang finally finishes off Balrog.
After discovering that the White Rose is actually Bison's daughter, they head to his house to confront him.
Because he's a maverick, Nash puts his gun in a man's mouth and then expects him to answer his questions.
Gen finds Bison and they immediately start fighting.
Bison easily defeats Gen, but Chun-Li flies in for the final epic battle.
They have a long yet underwhelming battle in which Chun-Li blinds Bison with flour before finishing him off with a Koken.
Nash turns up with Rose just in time to watch Chun-Li brutally murder her father.
Having seen Chun-Li just murder a man, Nash lets her go, because it's not like he's supposed to be a cop or anything. He's not meant to be a cop.
And so the film ends with Chun-Li going back to the family home with a very brief sequel tease. In conclusion, this isn't a terrible film. The actors didn't do a bad job. They play the roles that are given, and many of them do quite nicely. The best example being Michael Clarke Duncan as Balrog.
Alright, we'll start with the cast then. First, they cast Taboo of the Black Eyed Peas as Vega. That means they got a relatively famous musician to play a silent ninja type character who wears a mask, who you only see his face once before he's killed, and when he speaks they distort his voice anyway. So what was the point of casting him in this particular role? Then we start with our Irish Bison, who, if you don't know, is very associated with Thailand in the games, and is at the very least given a well-spoken American accent, or is played by a Japanese actor. Here, he just doesn't come across as menacing at all. He just seems overly rambly, talking about random things that don't really make much sense. And last and of course least, we have that walking abortion that is Chris Klein, trying to be overly badass when he just comes across as a petulant prick.
Robin Shou was a very good choice for the Gen character because he's quite a likeable one, and he was a very good choice for the mentor for Chun-Li.
Yes, it was very nice to see Liu Kang in this movie about Chun-Li. It's supposed to be about Chun-Li, however, and he's not supposed to be the best thing. In this movie, she's portrayed as a vigilante as opposed to being an Interpol agent. Here, it's basically a piss-poor version of Batman Begins, only Chun-Li never needed this sort of origin story, as she's just a woman that's very good at martial arts and has a job that puts her in this position.
There are a lot of good fight scenes in this film. The first one being Chun-Li's dad and the goons. That was just brilliant. Anything with Gen involved in it was just, throughout the film, brilliant. Even Chun-Li's first fight with the random thugs. I'm sorry, but they are good.
I found that particular fight incredibly dull, to be honest, and perfectly illustrates the problem with Chun-Li in this movie. In that fight, the stuntmen seem to be doing all the work, and as a setup for her not knowing how to fight properly yet, her also doing wire work and supernatural jumps doesn't really illustrate that fact. Following that, Kristen Kruk lacks the on-screen charisma and presence to actually carry herself in these fights. She doesn't seem to display heroism or strength, she just comes across as angry yet flimsy.
Ultimately, considering it's a film based on a video game, they didn't do badly with the casting, and they didn't do badly with the nice fight scenes.
At the end of the day, this is a pitiful and pathetic attempt at a martial arts film made worse by the creator's obvious knowledge of, yet complete abandonment of the original source material.
Now come on, fellas, who is this girl?